Hello, friends, fans, and dairy products of all ages. This is Cheese of Ages. Both lighting and internet problems have apparently been fixed. I don't know how this will look in the final verdict, but you can probably see, like, right there where the light causing the issue was, and it's still causing a bit of a lighting discrepancy. But lowering my webcam's angle a bit, setting a little bit lower to accommodate for it, and having the desk lamp in the background, like dispersing the light a little bit better, spreading the light out a bit, seems to fix the issue with the lighting. And you can now actually see my living arrangements. Clearly I am on the top floor of a place because of the slanted ceiling and the stairs railing behind me with a bunch of miniatures on it. Anyway, this is mainly an update video to that regard, and also re-uploading the previous video that I had to take down due to internet issues. My router was going bad, wasn't transmitting Wi-Fi correctly, but it's been replaced since then, and so I can redo this video, in which I talk about why I don't play the ranked mode in really any MOBA I've ever played. I never got to the level in which I could do it in the Heroes of the Storm. But it likely contains the same problems that are true of every ranked mode. There are people that go into it way too early when their skill sets aren't adjusted properly to a more serious competitive mode. They punish you for losing in this environment. There are people that troll and champion select when they don't get the role they wanted for. I'm not too fond of draft mode because I can easily be counterpicked just because I have the advantage of picking first in the configuration. And honestly, I don't have the ability to solidly carry in every position. And I am one of those people that follow the advice of have 3 good champions for every role that you can play comfortably in, and if possible, be able to carry a game. That people always advise you to do before you get into ranked. So few people actually do that. And the recent bonus IP weekend from the pool party event that was recently happening just cemented the fact of something my friend once said about why he doesn't believe in Elo Hell. Elo Hell being a point in the game in which you get stuck forever at a certain level of Elo, which is the thing that determines your matchmaking in a lot of games, even though League of Legends uses a combination of MMR in the Elo style. MMR Hell. The reason why he doesn't believe in MMR Hell is because it never goes away. You will always have you will always be suffering because your random people and your team that you aren't duo or more queued with are throwing the game. You will always get bad random players, or Randys as me and my friend call them. No offense to any Randy guys out there, that are named Randy, not Randy guys in the Austin Power sense. You know what I mean. You will, if you watch people that are challenger rating, that stream on like Twitch or something, you'll frequently see them having team members that are just as inept as people that you meet in much lower tiers of MMR or Elo. So Elo Hell effectively never ends. It just lessens slightly. I mean, I've watched a streamer called Killer Cruiser, who's a Talon-only Challenger-rated player. He only plays Talon, and got to Challenger only with Talon. And frequently, he'll get teammates that are just as mechanically inept in Challenger as people that I encounter in queue. And I have less than like 300 wins under my belt. I'm nowhere near Challenger level. Why is Elo Hell just as bad at my ranking as it is at his? That just doesn't really make any sense. But yeah. Ranked is a mode in which Elo Hell will get you stuck in a place and you're punished for losing. And it's more toxic because people are punished for losing. And there's an element in ranked in which there's some people that think they're good because they have gotten to a certain point in the ranked. They start thinking they're good players when they actually aren't good players. And it creates a mentality where they refuse to learn from their mistakes. They call every mistake they make someone else's fault to an even greater extent than people in non-ranked queues do. Because they get to that mentality, it's like, oh, I'm gold rated. I'm a good player. I'm much better than these Randys. They stop learning sometimes. They get the elitist that they're good at the game because they've achieved a certain rating in the game. It's like, oh, and it's like it's all the way from once you got out of bronze. It's like, oh, I'm a better than average player. What's all these bronzy skill level people I'm getting? And frequently, like on the Reddit, I've made discussions about balance changes and things like that, and people have brought up the thing where they should balance the game to the upper percentile. Because people that are I'm rambling a bit. People that are not playing ranked are worse than people that play ranked. Clearly including himself in the upper percentile, because if he thinks his opinion matters as far as balance goes, clearly he thinks he's in the upper percentile and thinks he's better than everyone else. It creates this elitist mentality. That's super toxic. If you have the mentality that you're not making any mistakes and it's everyone else, you're not going to learn, you're not going to get better, and you're inevitably going to get carried by actual skilled players into higher ratings and pollute the pool at higher and higher elevations with your refusal to learn better mechanics. It's this environment I don't want to be in. I would just rather have it where if I lose a game, I just lost a game. I don't want to go into modes like, oh, I lost a game, now my rating falls. Several times I've gone I've done a really good, had 60 or higher % kill participation. I was deleting mofos on the enemy team, but other lanes fed really horribly, and were cursing me for not doing certain things, or cursing another person for not doing certain things properly when it was very clearly their mistake. A support that was never in bot lane, that left bot lane far too early to roam, and just left the ADC 1v2 the entire game because the other support didn't roam, and the ADC couldn't do anything, and started doing jungle camps. And then people were yelling at the ADC, and then the support was yelling at the ADC. Maybe you should, do your job as a support. And no, I wasn't the ADC on that occasion, though I have had that situation happen to me before, in which my support was only in lane to die. I've had matches recently during the free IP weekend where I was queuing up with people on the Reddit and organized things to grind out party bonus IP, because the more people you have in a pre-made group, the more IP you get in those particular bonus IP weekends. I had an Alistair supporting me, and I was playing a Caitlyn, and Caitlyn's primary weakness is people getting next to them, people all-inning her, because she's sucky at close range. Her entire thing is keeping the enemy at maximum range and just harassing them to death, and using her range to bully people out of lane. And if they try to get too close, netting backwards away. She's really vulnerable to all ends, especially high CC all ends. So this Alistair thought it was a good idea to consistently, over and over again, with pinpoint precision, drop a Sejuani on my head, to where she landed directly on top of me, because it was a Sejuani support. Who the fuck thinks it's a good idea to knock an AoE high CC tank on your carry's head over and over again? What you're supposed to do with Alistair is knock them to a point where they're separated from their support, but not direct, or one of the two, never the tank, if at all possible, is separated from the other member in the lane and close to your tower, far away from their tower and safety, and where the ADC can, from a safe position, harrow them. You don't enable the ADC to harrow the person by putting the CC's heavy motherfucker directly on their head. You don't put the enemy in range to use their CC on your carry. That's just stupid. And also the charges for peeling. It's like if Sejuani had jumped on my head, headbutt her away as quickly as possible. Peel. Don't give them a gap closer. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to knock the tank away from the AD carry as on the enemy team. Use your thing to like CC the AD carry so they can't get away from you while your ADC burns down the ADC. Or knock the enemy carry away from their support and then chain CC the support while your two ADCs are duking it out. Or peel with that. But nope, he thought it was a good idea to drop the CC tank directly on my head over and over. I mean, I admit I could have performed better that game, but shit. Jeez. You gold ranked in a ranked play support, you. And my play during that event, I was frequently paired with people that were gold tiered in ranked play that had the frame, and I checked it. They're gold ranked. You know, they are in these. It starts bronze, silver, gold. They've gotten out of bronze, out of silver, into the 3rd rating in ranked, and they were inept mechanically. They were feeding people with no frames, that have never played ranked. I checked. People with much fewer wins. They were feeding, practically, doing nothing. I couldn't get a match in which any other lane wasn't feeding horribly. I got a gold ranked player playing a Diana jungle that didn't gank until the 14-minute and 30-second mark of a 26-minute game, when every lane was pushed in and right from the ganking. She did not gank once. She had not even a single point of kill involvement until she was level 8. 2 whole levels after she can gank. And it wasn't even a required gank. She came into the lane to practically kill steal, because all she did was deal the last tick of damage that was already going to be handled by the Cho'Gath. That was in mid. Her first gank was a kill steal. I was playing top, never got a gank, got dumpstered. Maybe if I'd had a gank at some point, I wouldn't have lost to the Rise. But yeah, I'll admit, maybe she never ganked me after a certain point because I got dumpstered. But maybe I wouldn't have gotten dumpstered if she had ganked before the 50% match over point. If she hadn't waited to gank my lane until she was 2 levels over the point in which Diana can start ganking, and the Rise wasn't like freaking 3 levels higher than me because I was having no jungle pressure in my lane. Bot wasn't getting any ganks either. Every lane was perfectly pushed up. People were playing safe under tower. Everything was right for ganking. They weren't in a bad position under tower, like low or low on mana. They were in a position in which if she had jumped in behind the people that were pushed up to their tower, she could have just come behind them, and then the people in the lane had ample resources to engage too. It didn't gank until the 14-minute mark. It was, considering the game didn't last even 30 minutes, so you can tell how that turned out. There wasn't some miraculous turnaround. We had no jungler practically for half of the game, and before she ganked the first time, already 5 deaths had occurred. And most of them were us being killed because we had no jungler, and they did. Thank you, gold ranked Diana. But yeah, people in gold ranked and higher, I'm sure there's some good ones. Somebody had to carry the bad ones there. But Elo hell never goes away. So why would I enter the ranked? I mean, people always suggest be able to play 3 champions comfortably in each role, just in case you don't get the role you want, and just in case your champion that you prefer in the role you get is banned out. People aren't willing to put in that effort. Too many people are not willing to put in that effort. So why should I bother going through that extra effort and doing that, because I would want to, and going in there and dealing with that struggle. And it was even cemented, it's like, okay, bronze is going to be bad players, it's going to be a more toxic environment. It's a stereotype that bronzies are terrible. But yeah, if you were to put in that extra effort before you go into rank, bronzies wouldn't be as on a whole so stereotypically terrible. And I thought it was just like a myth. But and then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm having trouble in these matches because the MMR has been skewed, because there's like gold framed peoples with thousands more wins than me, and they match. Maybe if I go into like the bronze rooms that they've set up, I can play with people of around my count of wins. And there was like people in there with like 300 wins and like 400 wins, so it's like around my level of winnages. More than me, actually, because, you know, I don't honestly. I only started playing like live games like after I'd hit level 30, because, you know, learning the game and like doing all of these things, and like playing bot matches with like newer players and stuff that who are like joining the group of friends that play with me, and basically just trying to learn a whole bunch of champions and using bot matches frequently to learn new champions. I hit level 30 way before I got like 100 wins under my belt. And yeah, anyway, I put work into learning champions and like researching tips. I mean, I like playing Talons. I watch like Killer Cruiser, who's a Talon only. Like, I do research. I study these things. I try to be the best I can be. And these people with like 3 times my win counts that are bronze players, my God, you know, it's like playing with the wall. It's like this wall, this slant in the wall behind me had queued up for a league match and was playing like in another lane. I mean, seriously, they had next to no mechanical knowledge whatsoever. They were chasing when they shouldn't chase, and were like ignoring minion waves when they should be clearing the waves, weren't last hitting properly, weren't warding at all. They were making all the same mistakes as the people that were gold framed, but they were just on average very much less practiced. They were like barely capable of using their abilities, and the mentality of playing whatever the fuck you want in the role, even if it's terrible in the role, you know, carried over to an exaggerated extent in the bronze groups, even though it happened frequently in the gold ranks for games that I was in. But, you know, it's like, oh, it's just a free IP weekend group, let's just have fun. I can get with that mentality, but jeez, and bronzies are far more likely to try out these things that they hear about, like Evelyn Jungle, which is only really good if you're a really good player, you know, and is still really bad comparably. It's one of those things, it's okay, but why would you play this when you could play this? You know, kind of things. And I'm fine with like playing out of meta champions, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure like in Evelyn main that jungles would be good, but you know, don't just pick up an out of meta champion and try them in a role that they are not really designed well for in the current meta, like, and then play them in an experimental breaking the meta way. You know, learn the champion in its intended role first, you know, if you're going to do that, and for God's sakes, don't take it into ranked. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, That reminds me of another point that I don't want to really go into ranked for. A while back, this is actually the source of that argument. It's like, oh, they should balance to the upper percentile, and the upper percentile plays ranked. It was in a thread suggesting that they should prohibit new champions that are freshly released. They should be auto-banned by the system for a week after release, so they could complete bug testing, making sure every bug is gone, make sure everything is balanced smoothly before they unleash it on ranked play, the mode that punishes you for losing. So that way, people have to go into non-ranked area to play that champion for a week. If they want to take it into ranked, they've actually got to practice in non-ranked modes first. And if there's any game-breaking unbalances or bugs, they can catch it before it's unleashed in ranked and fucking up people's rank LP count. And this person's like, oh, how are they supposed to balance check it if they don't allow it in ranked? Because the normals are shit. That's kind of silly that they have such an elitist attitude about that. Clearly, ranked players aren't any better, from what I've experienced of them. It's just the same. Like, who'd think that the same game played on the same map in the same way and would be the same? And he had the argument that people in normals don't play to win. As if that makes any fracking sense. If you play a game and you're not trying to win, people in normals don't try to win. If you are playing a game and you're not actually playing the game to win it, that's like you get in a car to not drive it. It's like saying it makes that's like saying a person would get in a car to not drive. Specifically to not drive. Why would somebody get in a car for the purpose of not driving? If they're going to get into a car, they're going to try to drive, or they're going to try to get somewhere. It's like somebody's going to order food to not eat. If you order food to eat or give to someone to eat. You do not do something that has a sole solitary purpose to not achieve that purpose. Even if you are playing to have fun, you are trying to win because it's a game. But yeah, back to the original point I brought this up. People playing a champion for the first time in ranked, where them being bad at it will hurt other people. I don't want to have to deal with that situation in which I'm getting punished for them being bad, and because a fresh champion is released and it's a frackamajig of people trying this champion for the first time in ranked because they don't play normals, because they're too good for normals. They only play ranked. Seriously, what kind of asshole takes a champion that is freshly released into a ranked game for the first time? You take a champion if you take a champion that you've never played before into an environment in which you being bad will punish other players in a lasting and long term thing like LP count, which could possibly drop their rank or keep them from getting the next rank, you are a jerk. I don't care if you're of the mentality it's like, oh, well, if they're normal, if they're all scrubs and they're terrible players, I only play ranked because I'm better than you. That means you're a jerk because you're taking champions you've never played before into an environment that has consequences for other people that are long lasting. That doesn't make you better than me. That makes you an asshole. But anyway, that's just my 50 cents on it. That's a long rambling video. But in summary, I don't play ranked because it's notoriously toxic and trolly at every ELO, honestly. But lesser as you go up. And ELO hell actually has long-term drawbacks to it. And ELO hell never goes away. People always get carried up and think that their high rank that they were carried to means they're good. It's inevitable. I'm not saying I'm the best player in the world. I can't carry a game consistently, reliably every time. I've done it before where I was a big major carry or a big deciding factor in which we won. And I've also been carried before because I got a little behind or made crucial mistakes and got behind. Those things happen. But anyway, this is just Cheese of Ages signing off.